Have you ever wondered how to find epic 4x4 trails in Europe and then turn them into your own custom routes? Today, I'll show you how I use a combination of Wikilocs and Gaia GPS to plan every overlanding adventure I go on, including a way to stitch the tracks together and go deeper than the average traveler. If you want to learn how I find trails like this, then stay tuned. So before we dive in, go grab a free copy of my comparison guide. I'll leave a link in the description for you. It will really get you to understand the differences between Wikilocs and Gaia GPS. Now, both products are free, but you have to pay a subscription to really unlock the power of both of them. So you need to understand that before you decide to pay for them, what you want to do with each product. But hopefully through this video, I'll show you why I use both and why I pay premium subscriptions for both of them too. So if you're planning a trip either to Spain, Portugal, southern France, you want to do some overlanding, you want to do some different route planning, I offer a raft of services, overlanding4wd.co.uk, link in the description. I've even written a book on the topic as well. Well over 250 copies of this book have been sold. Go grab a copy off my website on digital download, or you can buy it on Amazon. I love helping people. That's why I built these types of services, to help you get out there and go and enjoy all of the trails that I go on. Regardless of what vehicle you have, it doesn't really matter. I can help you plan successfully and, more importantly, get home safely. So let's look at each platform. Let's start with Wikilocs. Now, Wikilocs is a community-sourced database. It's not just for off-road vehicles. It has a raft of things, from horse riding to snowmobiling. Pretty much any type of trail that you can do, Wikilocs has a community for it. Now, I use it specifically for finding off-road trails. You may want to go and use it for hiking as well. That's what Wikilocs is built to do. It's really a community-based solution set for whatever activity you're interested in. So let's look at each platform. So Wikilocs is a community-sourced trail database. It's not just for off-roaders. You can find hiking trails, snowmobiles, horsebacking trails, a wide variety of different types of activities that you might be interested in. But I only use it for off-roading trails. It's got a global reach, but it's very, very strong in Europe. The guys that created it are based in Girona, Spain. Now, there are other platforms such as Onyx, which is more mapping-based, but that is North American-based. So it really doesn't help, and I've got no experience with Onyx here in Europe. So Wikilocs I use primarily for research. So Gaia GPS is probably the most powerful mapping tool you can buy. Now, there are other solutions. I've tried a lot of them, but I've stuck with Gaia. Now, a couple of things that I like about Gaia. Number one is the layering. Because of the layering, specifically in Europe, around Spain and Portugal, it really takes all of those layers to the next level that you don't get on any of the other platforms. You certainly don't get it on things like Google Maps. I like the offline use. It's really great for me, and I've mentioned this in previous videos. Before I leave, I take all of the trails that I'm going on and I offload them and download them to my device. So I don't need to worry about running on a trail with no mobile service. I have all the trails at hand. So the offline mode, second to none. The navigation is excellent. The detail on the maps, excellent. And the ability to be able to stitch together routes that you found on Wikiloc, to be able to stitch them together into your own route, your own adventure, second to none. So these tools on their own are very powerful, but together they unlock all of the possibilities you could have for overland travel. So let's fire up the iPad. I'll turn on screen capture for you, and let's have a look around Wikilocs. Now, I'm going to use the web version purely because it's easier for me to show you than having to go to the app. I don't have the app on my iPad. I have the app on my iPhone. So I got some issues with Wikiloc. Number one, if they sit on a mobile device, you cannot put them in landscape mode. They have to go in portrait mode. And that's really difficult because you don't get the full view if you're trying to follow the map on that device, which is why I don't use Wikiloc when I drive to navigate. I use my Garmin Tread. Okay, so let's go into Wikilocs. And what we're going to do is we're going to do trails in Spain. And then I'm going to go to activities, and you can see there are a ton of different activities that you can do. This keeps on expanding and expanding. When I first had Wikilocs, I don't know, 10 years ago, all you could really do were hiking trails. So there are a ton of different activities that you can find on wheels, off wheels, accessible, etc. It just goes on and on. It's far more broad than it ever was before. So let's go and choose off-road. And we're in Spain, and you can see the people that I follow, but you can also see the map. And up here are all the trails that it can find. There are distance, there are different filters in here. Now, some of these, I follow some of these people. That's where I get a lot of the route recommendations from. But if you click on, let's just find this one, which is from the Overlanding, the team Overland UK, which is the old Raptor Garage guys. They did a number of these trips pre-pandemic. So here you can see it's really detailed on what they have. The itinerary description, detailed, there's pictures. This is what I would call an excellent Wikileocks trail description. Compare that to some of the others that you might find. Let's go back. Let's see if I can find some. I think most of these are probably going to be this. Find this one. That's just a trail. There's limited descriptions. I wouldn't trust that purely because it's just got limited descriptions. Whereas before, as I showed you, I would trust because I can see quite clearly they put some effort into describing campsites, what was going on, and there's pictures there. So I've got a pretty good idea that when I can see those guys, that's what I do. Okay, so from here we've seen a trail, like the look of it, pretty happy that they've done this trail. I can see the elevation, the route, there's pictures on it. It shows me the distance, it shows me the elevation, gain and loss, and it also describes the difficulty. I found with Wikileocks, one of the major problems I've got, because it is more of a community-based, one person's easy is another person's moderate. So you end up in a situation where somebody could hit a trail and think, wow, this is more difficult than it said it was. However, when you look at the descriptions that people have put in there, you get a really good sense of whether it is easy, whether it's moderate, or whether it's difficult. Now, with the premium version, I have the ability to download. So what I can do is click on the download button. I can click a file. I can choose how much of the waypoints that I want, and then download it somewhere. So that generally will be downloaded for me on my iPad. So that is now downloaded to the file app on my iPad. Now, a couple of things about Wikiloc. You cannot download unless you have the premium version. I'm not sure how much it is a year. Depending on the country, you can go and see. I think it's about 10 quid here. I'm not sure. I'll go check, and if it's different, I'll let you know in the comparison guide. But you have to pay for it. So you can research this, you can definitely follow them, but you cannot download them. And one of the key benefits of having a subscription, a premium subscription, the ability to take those GPX files and download them into another platform, such as Gaia, and start stitching them together. Okay, let's go into Gaia. And at the bottom here, there is an arrow. If we open up, we can see where it's all the files that I've got. I'm going to click on the three little buttons at the top and import the file. So what I'm looking for, the most recent one that I've downloaded to the Files app, which came out of Wikileocks, is the Pyrenees trip 2019 day 5. I'm going to click on that and it imports the file. So if I close that out, we can see this green file here, which is Pyrenees trip 2019 day 5. So I can also change this to things like the activity. So I could put off-roading, select it. I can change the color as well. But this is the file that we've downloaded. So that's how I get the GPX files out of Wikileocks onto my iPad and then into Gaia. Now, once they're in Gaia, I can do anything I want to be able to stitch together routes. So let's go and have a look at that. Now, my use case when all of my files are on, you can only see a subsection here on my Gaia. What I'll do is I will show you all the files that I have got inside of Gaia on the website of things. So if I open up Gaia GPS, here are all the trails that I have loaded just on the Pyrenees. I've driven probably 90% of these. Most of these have come out of Wikiloc. And what I have done is downloaded them to the base on the web version of Gaia. Now, I don't have it synced. Now, with all of these, the multiple devices you have, you can actually sync all of the files you have from the web version down to the different devices, a tablet or a mobile device. So all the way you can see I have all of my files. And then I'm beginning to play with the routes, for instance, in both Sardinia and Sicily. But that is the vast majority of the trails. I counted them once. There are over 600 different trails, and I have most of them, as you can see, are in Iberia. Okay, so armed with my Apple Pencil, I'm going to go into my iPad. Got the screen rolling. I've got the screen recording. And what we'll do is we'll just do a really basic how to build a trail from Carcastillo to Bardenas Reales. So if we go to Carcastillo, we just click once, it will automatically put in a trail. If you pick up the little blue dot and go to where the break is, and we're going to follow the trail that is already there, and then we're going to just open it up because it's easier to do so it doesn't find other ways of going, and it will automatically connect to the trail that it can find. Now, if you expand the screen out all the way and then start to do this, it will get confused. So the best thing to do is to go as deep into the trails as you can and then follow them together. And it will do a snap to grid as you work your way following the downloaded trail that you have taken from a GPX file or potentially out of Wikiloc. And then you continually build it. Now there are things like sections here where it's worked its way around it. All you can do is just pick up the arrow and move it. And you just begin to build the route this way. So you can work your way all the way down. And for us, this one is going all the way down to where the major limestone, I'm not sure what it's called, but we'll go put a picture of where the vehicle is. We're going down to that. So that will get us all the way down there. So the mode at the bottom, you can see it's got a little Jeep. And then it shows as we've done 24 miles, it shows the elevation. So you can stitch all of these together. So if I wanted to build a route, and if you follow the black route that's on here, which starts here, there's another one overlaid. So let's just take the red one. Oops. So if you follow the black route here, this black one is what I have created for the trip that we are doing in a few weeks. And as we zoom out, you can see all of the black that is connected. So to build that out, that is a combination of about 12 different GPX files that I have manually built the track out. So that's roughly how long it takes. It took me about an hour and a half to build it all out. And all I've done is taken one, the time we had, two, what we wanted to look at, and then stitch them together. It's quite easy to download them all into a platform like this and then just work your way through it. So let's just cancel out of there and clear it. And then we'll go in and look here. So what you can see now, this is Salt. And these are all of the trails up and around Salt in Spain that you could potentially do out and back trails. Now they're not in black, and there's a reason why they're not in black is because these are just optional for us. The one in black is the main route that I built for us to go do this 7-day trip to the Pyrenees. But all of those and the different colors that you can see there on the screen, they're open for us to do out and back trips. And I pulled all these out of Wikileocks based on the descriptions that I found, the detail that is in there, the length. So I know that they're all roughly about 50 miles each of those trips. So because I know the distance, roughly 50 odd miles, 80 kilometers, that's pretty doable in a day. So while they're not in black, that gives us the option to look at one and think, we'll go do that, or go do the other one. So although there's a base route, which is what you see here in black, which is about 750 miles, all up here is all optional for us. And that's part of the flexibility of planning these out. So a lot of people say to me, where do you find these wild camping spots? Well, sometimes it's just by chance. As I mentioned before, I start looking for somewhere to stop around 4 or 5 o'clock. If I go past somewhere in that time frame, I'm going to stop because I look at it and think, yep, I'm stopping here. But I've also researched some places as well. So this is how I do it. So if we go into Gaia, I can show you some that I've got. So if we follow this red route all the way down here, you begin to see these camping tent icons. Now this is on a ridgeline in Luna. Now how did I find those? Well, I know that the one at the bottom here, this one down here, I've stayed in this one twice. It's a small branch off that goes to the end of relatively high up on a ridgeline. It's just a cutout. I've stayed there a couple of times. There's been 4 of us that have pulled into there as well. In the times that I've stayed there, which is 3 or 4 times I think, not one vehicle has ever gone by me. All the way through when I parked to when I left in the morning. Not one vehicle. So I know it's pretty safe. You're also quite high up over the town of Luna. The other one that I found is a little bit further up the track, but it's on this branch here. So when I find that, or before I found that, let's go into Google Maps. And let's type in Luna, Spain. So the first one that I showed you is here. And that cutout is where you could quite comfortably wild camp. It's well above the town. There's virtually nothing anywhere near it, but you can park there. Now the other one I showed you is up here, and it says Punta de San Jorge. You click on that and it shows you some of the pictures that people have taken when they've been up there. But the other thing I look for is it will show you things like this. Clearly there are benches up there. Now I know it's a hiking path. I can see people have been up there before. I know it's a hiking route. I know you can drive up there because I can tell from the track. But there are plenty of places I can tell from this photo where you can go and just park up. And again, if I go back to inside of... So if I drill in to Google Maps, there's clearly a place there where 2 vehicles can park. So I then go back to Gaia, and then I drop in a wild camping spot. So that's how I found them. And I know it's high up. If you're familiar with mapping, you can see the contours. It's going to be high up in elevation on a ridgeline, and the track will follow its way up. So that's how I find them. There's a few others that I found as well. So if I work my way through here, there's one up here as well. And why there? That is right next to a field. It's literally... So I drop pins where I know there is somewhere. I drive past somewhere, I may not stop, but I will drop a pin in to say, that's a pretty good place where you can stay. So I know quite quickly now, when you start expanding these out, where there are wild camping spots. For instance, I know there are plenty here on this lake reservoir. I also know some of the campsites that are further down here in Valfarta. So I begin to map those out and drop those out as well. So if we go back to the web version, you see all of my drops for campsites. They're not all on there because some of these routes are actually hidden, purely because there's just way too many there. But I begin to drop them down, and some of these points here with the waypoints, you can see where the campsites are. So I just keep track of all those. I've probably got, I'm going to guess, 200 dropped pins of campsites that I know would be safe to stay in. Really good views, hidden away, no public going to come anywhere near you. I know they're going to be safe. So that might sound convoluted to some people. It might sound like a lot of work. And I'll be honest with you, it is a lot of work. And it's quite daunting for people to look at this and figure out, right, I'm just going to follow a Wikilocs trail. I wouldn't recommend you do that without doing a little bit of detailed research on where the trail goes through, the type of terrain that you're going to go through. And again, it's back to the trusting the person that put the trail up in the first place. And I've been doing this long enough now to know that I don't trust most of the people that put things on Wikilocs, especially for off-roading, which is really the only activity I use it for. So just bear that in mind. The power of the two of them together is really where these two platforms come together to give you all of what I've shown you. Now, this is just a snippet, but this is what I do every single time. And for me, going through this process, I can get it done quite quickly. So when somebody says to me, can you build me a 14-day trip across the Pyrenees? The questions I generally ask people is type of vehicle you have, how many people are going, is it solo or with a family, how long have you got, what do you want to see? And with those 4 things, I've got enough experience of enough trails now to know exactly how to put these together to give people a really good variety of the type of trails. As I've mentioned before many times, you really have to go out of your way to find something that will be termed difficult in Europe. If you go into places like Romania, you might find fridge busting rocks to get over. You will you will struggle. You will really struggle to find any type of big bouldering, difficult off-roading in Spain. Specifically, you won't find it in Portugal as well. You might find it moderate, where there might be some washouts. It might get technical in places, but to find something that you're going to be doing deep mud doesn't exist. Bashing, panel crushing rocks doesn't exist unless you really go out of your way to find it. So in most cases, most of the trails that you find in Spain and Portugal, I would consider to be easy to moderate. And for overlanding, that's perfect. Okay, so let's wrap this up. Wikileocks is perfect for discovering trails, but the caveat to that is make sure that the detail you're looking at is filled in. Really good solid descriptions. Have they only posted one route? Is there multiple routes? Are there pictures? All of that. And based on that, you can pretty much say, I trust what that person has put down in the detail there, the metadata for that trail. Now, the great thing about Gaia is once you have those trails, you own them. You've bought them, you've downloaded them, you can do whatever you want with those trails. You can follow them as you've got them in Gaia, you can chop them up, you can splice them together with all of the different trails you have and put them into your very own trail, your own adventure. And it's there on a GPX file. So you can export them out to an SD card or put them on something like this, which is a Garmin Tread. Now, this is a Overlander version. It's probably about a 6-inch version. It's not the big one. This one's perfect. This sits on my dash. I use that as my primary navigation. Now, the great thing about that device is everything I showed you on Gaia with all of those trails sits on that device. So if I come across a trail that I'm on, you will start seeing the other trails intersect as you get closer to it. So if they cross over and you get 3 or 4 trails that cross over a path that you're on, I can look at those and say, oh, I'll go take that one to the left, or I'll go take that one to the right. And that's the great thing about using one of these devices. You can also use an iPad or any type of tablet, but the problem you have there is, 1, you need to download them, as I mentioned before, and 2, if you don't, you have to rely on mobile service. And some of these devices don't have a SIM card in them, so you've got a hotspot. So just bear that in mind when you look at a device. But if you can find one of these or find a Garmin or some dedicated GPS device, I would highly recommend you do that. So in the description, I put a link to my free comparison guide that takes Gaia, Wikileocks, Premium, free. You make the decision what you want to do. You can see all the map overlays that are available in there. I didn't touch them on this video. I will do it in a future video. I also have a custom overland planning service. I've helped dozens of customers now build their trails across Spain and Portugal. If you go down that route and you need my help, so you can do the consult, you can get me to buy the entire thing and I will put it together for you. I will also give you all of the maps and the GPXs that I've got, and I will also give you a free copy of my book. So I hope this was of interest to you. Please don't forget to subscribe, like the content if you like the content. If you want to reach out, link in the description for how you get in touch with me. Okay, thank you very much. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.